Hello, and welcome to episode 11 of Attention Engineer. I'm Laura Kidd, a Bristol-based music producer, songwriter and independent solo artist making music as Penfriend. Find me around the internet at Penfriend Rocks. In this noisy world, the gift of someone's attention is priceless. Join me on my mission to go deeper, past the headlines and the hearsay, to have the conversations I've always hoped for with some of the artists I admire the most. This podcast is supported by Arts Council England and the National Lottery, and powered by the Correspondence Club. I'll be telling you more about that later. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast today. There are so many things you could be doing right now, and I do not take it for granted that you've chosen to listen to this completely independent production. Thank you. In return, I'd love to give you a 2-track taster of my upcoming album. All you have to do is visit my website and fill in the very quick form to get immediate access to debut Penfriend single Everything Looks Normal in the Sunshine, and a special mailing list only track called The Only Way Out Is Through. The link you need is penfriend.rocks. I'll wait while you write that down. Ready? Great. Onwards we go. Since I last spoke to you, I have been away. I left Bristol for the first time since I went to talk to Frank Turner in Aylesbury in March. As you all know full well, 4 months is a very long time to be in the same 4 walls, especially when, like me, you're used to zipping around all over the place playing shows all the time. I found I'd completely forgotten how to pack. I genuinely got stuck trying to work out what I needed to take with me for 5 nights away. And with everything that's going on, I started feeling pretty anxious about leaving familiar surroundings. My husband Tim and I were super careful. We booked an Airbnb, which was a beautiful shepherd's hut in its own private bit of field outside a tiny Welsh village. We took our own food with us, and we stayed well away from other people. It was high time for a proper reset, and it was a joy to be able to turn everything off, read books, write letters to some friends, play board games, and just generally enjoy the fresh air. Now I'm back in the Launchpad, I'm spending this week editing future podcast episodes featuring even more really great guests, and getting ahead of myself a little bit so that next week and for the rest of August pretty much, I can spend all the hours in all the days finishing off the Penfriend album. Yeah! I can't wait to get stuck back into it. Now, speaking of touring, last year I got an exciting email from an American band inviting me out on tour with them around Europe and the UK. I knew I was due to be winding down my old music project She Makes War, so it was perfect timing to head off on one last adventure in that guise, before spending some time regrouping and launching Penfriend earlier this year. That band was Skating Polly. Skating Polly is an American rock band formed in Oklahoma City, playing their own inimitable brand of ugly pop. Founded by multi-instrumentalist step-siblings Kelli and Peyton in 2009, the band later gained a third member, Curtis, their brother, who plays drums. A spectacular live force, Skating Polly have released 5 endlessly creative albums to date, collaborated with rock royalty, and toured the world, leaving a trail of sweaty, open-mouthed onlookers in their wake. These words are true. I watched them play 14 shows in 15 days, and they were always fantastic. Here we go. So I am in the Hare and Hounds in Birmingham with 2/3 of Skating Polly.
Hey!
Now, is that already wrong? Because I know Curtis is in the band. But is it? How do you consider? What is Skating Polly to you?
I would say it's definitely all 3 of us.
All 3 of us.
Yeah. Is it cool? So I am here with 2/3 of Skating Polly.
Yeah, 2/3 of Skating Polly, yes. And actually, Kurt's really, really good at interviews, but I don't know. I think it's cool to have just this very femme discussion. I like it.
So too. So my first question really is, because people, I hope there's a lot of people listening who don't know you. I hope there's a lot of people listening who do know you. But how would you introduce yourself to a stranger at a party? So no one knows what you do.
Oh, like our... yeah, Peyton just wouldn't.
Fair enough.
If people were wondering about our band and stuff, what we are, I would say that we are an ugly pop art rock band from Oklahoma City.
Okay.
And then if they further like, ask more questions beyond that. I guess I'd probably start going into like, we started when we were really young and we didn't really ever like have musical lessons. We just kind of like played with instruments. We never really like learned how to play them. And like the songwriting was always the focus for us. We both really just loved singing and singing along to songs. So it came really natural that we'd want to write songs. And we learned instruments to accompany that. And then I ended up playing a really weird 3-string bass. And I think all three of us have, it's cool because we can all play each other's instruments, but we all have our own like unique styles on each of them. Like Peyton is such a sick drummer, and so is Curtis, but their styles are pretty wildly different. And even my drumming style is pretty different than both of yours as well. Yeah. Like Kurt's like, whenever he joined the band, he went back and learned a lot of my drum parts, and he's actually improved quite a lot of them. But like they came really unnaturally to him. Like I think your drum beats came more naturally to him, and he was like, Kelli, this makes no sense.
Because you write freak things. Everything you take like a crazy approach to everything.
Well, so how did you get started? So Peyton, what was the first instrument you played, or did you sing first?
Drums. I took about a couple months. How long was it?
Yeah, barely.
I just took a few months of drum lessons, and then I remember like we had recorded our first album, our demos. I think it was just demos, and I took it to my drum teacher because I was like, he's gonna love this. He was like, I could use a lot more drums, and I was like, okay, I'm done with drum lessons. Yeah. Because I was like, I like how it sounds. I don't think it needs more drums. I think drums would make it cluttered and weird and boring, and I was just like, I don't want to take drum lessons anymore.
Was that your first experience of someone telling you how something should sound?
Yeah, probably.
I like your response to that.
Probably, yeah.
And so did you not play instruments before the band started? So did Skating Polly start before you played any instruments?
For me, like, there were always instruments in my house. Like, for the longest time. Now, I think I kind of want to give myself credit and say I do play instruments. I can't, like, I don't know music theory. Half the time I don't know what chord I'm playing or note I'm playing. I don't know octaves. I don't know anything like that. I can't read music, although I have been working on learning how to read music for piano. But I used to say, I can't play any instrument. I can just play with instruments. And that was like the case. Like there were always instruments in my house. So it was something I was always messing with. I was particularly drawn to keyboard and or piano. My grandma had a baby grand. That was really cool. And bass. But my arms were so short. I could not like whenever, I first started like playing music or like having an interest in it, I just literally couldn't even reach the end of a bass, a full scale bass. And so I just thought, well, that's out of the question. And I hated guitar. I loathed it. I loathed drums too. Like I only played drums because Peyton wrote really good songs. And like it was only fair because she wrote really good drum parts for my songs that I should play drum parts on her songs. But like I hated drums at first. And then both of them, just with practice, I really started to appreciate. And my main thing was singing.
Yeah.
I loved singing.
Skating Polly was a duo for quite a while, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How did that start?
I mean, pretty much because, like I said, my parents were always really into music. Our whole family, big music fans. Kurt is a musical encyclopedia. He has been since he's been like 6. It drives me crazy. I'm always living in his shadow of music knowledge. Like I think like me and Curtis and Peyton and our other brother Joe kind of teased the idea of like forming a band. I have a cousin Gavin who's also really musically inclined that we'd like kind of tease the idea of forming a band. Like we made a zombie movie together when we were little. We always knew that we were all gonna do some big creative endeavor together. And we tried to start a band, all of us, and like the brothers wouldn't commit entirely. And then Peyton was like, screw you guys, I'm gonna go start a band with my high school friends. And I was like, no, don't leave me. Start a band with me. I really remember it took me a while to convince you. You're like, no, Kelli, like it's chill. Like I have cool bandmates. So like they're not gonna write songs. I'm gonna write songs. And then she gave me like a yellow light and I like was like, boom, here's 2 songs.
Brilliant.
But there were like 2 notes, but I was ready. I was ready.
They were songs. More songs than I had.
You followed with some songs shortly after that. I mean,
Yeah.
at first it was just like we were like writing songs every day. Like before our first album came out, we made a track listing of all of our songs and we had 30.
Wow.
It was insane.
Oh my God.
And so many of them were terrible. Like the song titles. Oh
Don't
God.
go over them. I'm too embarrassed.
Some really bad songs.
But some songs lead you to the next song that's good, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I feel that a lot of bands, well, I don't know if this is true, but I get the impression that a lot of bands, they just put albums together of songs they've finished so far. They don't write loads and then pick ones that stand together.
Yeah.
But it seems like you already, for your first record, you were doing that. You knew that it wasn't
definitely.
just what's finished, that'll do.
No, we were like picking through to our favorites. And if there was a song that we really liked but didn't feel like it was completed, we'd be like, well, let's save it for the next one. Or
It's so great. But to be thinking in terms of albums, and I'm not talking about your actual age, I'm just talking about so early in a band's career of playing together. That's pretty unusual. That's really cool. Yeah. So that just came naturally, did it? Just going, we're gonna make an album and it's no big deal.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we were obviously really encouraged. Like, it's funny. The only reason our band ever got its first show was because my dad and Peyton's mom were gonna like just do some like songs together, actually, like in the house on this 24-track recorder. And we had this local engineer come over and like showed like was like helping us like learn some tricks on it and like showed us this mic. And like he was kind of like, I think he was selling us a mic or demoing mics for us or something. We ended up buying a mic from him. But I was like, hey, can we test the mic? Like, can Skating Polly do a song to test? And he was really impressed by it. And I was so ready for that. I had like business cards, quote unquote business cards. They were index cards with like our MySpace written on them in crayon.
So sweet.
And and within a month or 2 months, we got our first local show. And I mean, we'd already been like writing songs, and, like playing like mandatory shows for our family for several months. But it was really cool. And I don't know, I think my dad and our parents just really believed in us. And like, we're like, no, I don't see why you guys can't be a real band. Like, they weren't like, they were coming to the shows when I was 9 and Peyton was 14. That's for damn sure. But like, they didn't think of us as a kid band. Like, they were like, that's so great. Yeah, you should be playing with these local bands because you guys write good songs.
That's wonderful. To have that support, so helpful, isn't it? But so now you've done 5 albums. You've released 5 albums. So at what point it sounds like maybe it was early on, but I was wondering at what point does it become really natural to go, well, what's the next album going to be? Because for me, I knew I wanted to make an album and it was a really big deal. Then I did one and then I thought, oh, I suppose I do another one. And then at this point, I'm just like, yeah, it's all about the next album all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How's it been for you with that?
I think we were thinking pretty far ahead in terms of albums pretty much from the get-go. Like on the first record, we were like, okay, we'll also do this for the second record. Like we picked out a name for the second record, which didn't end up being the name, but we did. And we're like, and for the third record, we can do this kind of stuff and this and this and that. And we were just really, we were always planning on making a bunch.
We were planning
wonderful.
our 10th anniversary show 10 years ago. We were like, and it's coming up now, and that's insane.
Wonderful.
But I remember when we were like, dude, by the time we're 19 and 24, we're going to have this, our 10th anniversary show. Yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of always writing. And even if you don't have like a completely fresh new song, I feel like there is so much spare parts left all over whenever you're a musician. Like you're constantly like just saving little bits and kind of throwing them on the back burner that if you're dedicated, you can always kind of cook up new songs. I mean, sometimes it's hard and sometimes you really have to like push through and sometimes, I don't know. For us at least, I feel like if it's been long enough and like it's like, oh shit, it's time for another album, then we can write an album.
Yeah.
Sure. I definitely panic and I'm like, we're not going to have enough time to write the album. Oh God, it's not going to be able to do the last album because we haven't had enough time. But then I always love it more than the last one. And it comes together.
Totally. Well, I'm excited for your 6th album. Is that underway? Or is that something you're going to do when you get home?
Lots of spare bits. Peyton has 3, like really 2.
I don't know. I think I only have 1.
I've heard bits of 3 that I really love.
But is it 3 different bits of the same?
Maybe they've all congealed into one song by now. But I don't know.
We have little bits and pieces of different stuff that we've been working on.
And it's all really different. Like I don't know. Peyton's been. We became really obsessed with Phoebe Bridgers over the last couple
her
of years.
solo album.
Yeah,
That's an incredible
that
album.
first record.
Stranger
Oh
in
my
the
god!
Alps.
And for me, Mitski, and I don't know. I guess a bunch of things, but Peyton's been writing these songs that really remind me of Phoebe Bridgers, but like with Peyton's take and Peyton's own voice and stuff, and they're really next level and cool. And I was in LA for a big chunk of the last year, like doing cognitive therapy lessons with one of my friends who has MS. And so I would do like piano lessons for cognitive therapy pretty much twice a week. And so that was getting my brain to think like, oh, I'm learning covers. And that's also why I started like teaching myself how to read music. I was like, this is a fun project for me. It's like a homework assignment every week. This is cool. And I love piano. It was the first instrument I was drawn to. So I've started writing all these like long piano songs and really pushing my limits with piano, which is cool because the last record only had one piano song.
How does a Skating Polly song come into being? Do you write individually and bring it together to finish it, or do you finish songs each other?
It's kind of different for every song, but especially on the last record, it was all really collaborative. We worked together for every single song pretty much. Maybe not from the very beginning, like maybe one of us would come up with like a skeleton and bring it along, but it was just totally collaborative. And I think it's going to be even more that way for the next one.
Yeah.
That's what's so great about having three individuals, isn't it? With all of your individual musical history and then bringing it together. And with the bond that you have, not only from being siblings, but having been in the band for 10 years.
Yeah.
Because I'm so impressed by bands who keep going. Because you can be a really impressive band and do a cool first album, but I think the test is to keep making records and keep making it work.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep making it work.
I'm really glad that Kurt joined when he did, because I kind of felt like we were hitting this wall where like our musicianship and like our musical capabilities were improving, but with just two people, like, and after we'd written with Nina and Louise, like that really like opened up my mind to next level. Cause like, yes, when we're recording, we can do like backup layers with ourselves, and sure, we can do a guitar solo on the record that we're never going to get to play live, but that's such a bummer. You know, it was such a bummer. I wanted to hear those layers, and having the three parts really opened up the songwriting, and just, it was this fun new challenge. And I think that's what keeps us going, is we always are just like trying different things. Like sometimes it drives me crazy, and sometimes it makes me just like want to quit and stay in bed all day. It's like, cause I'm like, what's my next thing I'm going to try? I can't try anything better than that last thing. I guess I should just give up. But you know, like, but also that is what keeps it fresh and good. Like you can never try to write a song for your fans, and you can never try to recreate something that went successful with your fans. I think that's like, those are like the two biggest things. So many people have told me that. Exene from X has told me that. And I think it's true. I really do. And listening to your gut instincts on stuff too, like if you have a song that's really long and windy and weird bits in it and unconventional, but you love it, then just go for it. Even if it doesn't make any sense on paper, and even if everyone you play it for is like, this makes no fucking sense, just go for it.
Well, I think that just means you're playing it to the wrong people.
It's going to stick with you longer, and the longer, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like if it's not coming from the heart, I mean, you need to go and tour this stuff. You need to love it so much. You need to be talking about it online and whatever, doing all of that stuff to try and get people to hear it. If it's not truly you, I just don't see how the energy for that would maintain.
Yeah.
You know, if I was writing songs I thought someone else wanted, I can't imagine for a minute I would like to keep playing them every night.
No, totally.
So I think it's brilliant that you do that. And you were just so yourselves at all times. I love it.
Thank you.
You've mentioned a few collaborators there.
Yeah.
Tell me about collaboration, because obviously you just talked about how the three of you collaborating on songs is the direction Skating Polly's going with your own albums, but you've been working with other people too, right?
Yeah. What I love about collaborating is it's really similar to like getting to know someone's writing style is really similar to just like getting to know someone's taste in music, and usually you also get to know that through them. And that's one of my favorite ways to get close to people, is just like to kind of dive into their musical world. One time I met a person who was like, I don't really like music. I actually spent all of last year not listening to music, and I was like, whoa, you're weird. Really weirded out. I was really taken aback by that because I'm not going to say on this interview,
I didn't know if
but-
it was someone like we know.
No,
Like,
no.
I don't know.
But like, it's just, because that is how I get close to people. So yeah, like obviously people's writing styles are very personal to them, and it's so revealing of their personality. It's like, even if it doesn't work out, it's like such a fun experiment. We've done a few. We did a writing session. The first one we ever did was with a local musician, really amazing, like Americana, like folk songwriter. But she also does some more Mitski-ish stuff, called Samantha Crane from Oklahoma. I love her. The second time we ever collaborated was, with Veruca Salt. It was, with Nina and Louise from Veruca Salt. And we had no idea what it was going to be going into it. We had like 2 studio days booked, and it was like, you're just going to do a writing session. It was like at the studio where they just recorded everything as we like jammed kind of. And we didn't finish the song. We kind of had like a half-baked demo of Hail Mary, but we just kept texting about it. And the Samantha song never came out. I love that song we wrote together, but it's so easy to overthink a collaboration too. Like, but if I just fix my part, and if we iron out the lyrics more, then, Also, that's a weird thing, to just get in a room with someone and be like, what do we want to write about?
Yeah.
That's always the hard part that trips people up. I'm always like, let's not worry about the words. Let's just worry about the melody. And then I kind of like to write lyrics by myself-ish and like run them past people and have people edit me, or vice versa, like edit other people's lyrics. I don't like to be like, for every line, now we can say hippopotamus, now we can say, I don't like to do that.
Well, it's hard to get any kind of flow, I think.
Yeah. Exactly.
Especially with someone you don't know. So even though, Veruca Salt, that sits very well alongside, above, whatever, around Skate and Polly's world of music. Totally, it totally fits. But being that vulnerable with someone you don't know yet, and like trying to work with them, I can't imagine that that's easy.
And that we were so starstruck by.
Yeah.
Like, we met them the day before we went into the studio. We had this really nice dinner with them, and they made us blush so much. They were so sweet. Like, I had no idea what to expect. Like, I figured they'd be sweet. That's why they were doing the writing session with us and stuff. But like, I don't know. Like, well, it was hard, but they were so cool about it, and they didn't make it hard. But like, I was so scared at first to disagree with them on anything because they're fucking Veruca Salt.
Yeah.
But they didn't make it hard. Like, they were always like carving a space for both of our opinions and making sure that like our voice was just as heard as theirs. And it was really cool, because if it would have been, if that would have gone any other way, I might really not like writing with other people.
Yeah.
And since then, I've actually met up with Louise a couple times, and like, maybe we'll write together again. We really want to.
Cool.
I love the way both of them write. With Exene, she's the most recent one. The first time we ever like collaborated, she produced Exene Cervinka from X. She produced our second record, Lost Wonderfuls, and then sometime in 2016. After we'd gone on tour together, she sent me all these lyrics about the show Queen for a Day, which we'd had a conversation about in a green room. And it was this awesome poem. And she was like, you can use these for whatever you want, if you want. And I was like, oh, of course I want to. You are one of my favorite lyricists in the world. Like, so madly creative and original, but also like personal and gritty and just cool imagery. Like, I love her lyrics more than anyone's. So right then in the practice was when I got this text, and we just like banged out the melody for Queen for a Day. And then we went through and we made things more complicated. And that was kind of a nerve-wracking one, because like it was kind of like she wrote the words, we wrote the song, and then the very first show of our next tour with X was the first time I played that song. And I was like, I have no idea if she's gonna like it. and she did. Like, she watched from the side of the stage, and I like looked over her afterwards, and she like gave me this giant thumbs up, and I was like, yes, okay, good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so do you have a hit list of people you like to collaborate with? Because it sounds like you've been really intentional with like knowing what your future albums are going to be and planning your 10th anniversary and all that stuff. Do you have a list?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's a long list though. There are so many people that if they just said like, we should write together, and we were actually in the same city for like a good amount of time, of course I would do it.
Yeah.
Like Kat Bielen, like me and Kat have been talking about it for a long time. Like, just come up to Minneapolis and we'll do something together. Hasn't worked out yet. Starcrawler. I would love to write a song with them. Me and Arrow have sat down and like started writing a song before, and I still think that will be really cool if that ever happens. I love her voice. So like, yeah, like friends and stuff, and then also just people I super look up to, like fucking St. Vincent.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, Annie Clark. Especially because that new Sleater Kinney record. Oh man.
So good.
Yeah, she's one of the big ones for me. What about you, Peyton?
I don't know. There's this one girl that I've been thinking of recently. Like I am way more timid whenever it comes to collaborating. Like I always love it whenever we get there, but I just like get so nervous. So like I don't really have a list, but it's like funny because I just mentioned this to someone recently. Like there's this band La 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 from Chicago,
so
and I'd love to work with her because she just like she has some of my favorite melodies, like really interesting song structures, really good.
I have like 2 big bucket list goals too. Like I really want to write or be on a good country song / folk song, like a good one, because there is good country. Not 80s country, not 90s country, definitely not like country from 2000s to now, but there's really good country. Like, you know, like, and so I want to do that, and I want to be on a good rap song really badly. Both of those are like dreams of mine. No, like singing the hook, like really badly. That's like been a goal of mine for a while. And then another one that I just think would be really cool, and I don't know if it would ever happen because I am such a nerd around these 2 guys every time I meet them, but Alan and Mike from Perfume Genius.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. They like follow us back on Twitter, and they make me so giddy. And we used to live in Tacoma, and they lived in, well, we still live in Tacoma. They used to live in Tacoma, and we'd see them at like a coffee shop. And like, I would just be like, oh my God, I just saw you walking out of a coffee shop. Oh my God. And I just, yeah, no.
You could stalk them all the way to a studio and do a song maybe.
Their songwriting, you know, they're one of those artists that like their records change so much from album to album. And that's something I deeply admire. And that's why I think it would be so cool to
that would
try
be
something
incredible.
with them.
That didn't even cross my mind because it's just like way up there, and my mind is just like,
no, they're legends. They're legends, yeah.
Outside of music, do you have bucket list goals? Do you have ideas for like other careers you might have in your lives? Because you've done so much in 10 years with Skate Polly, and I hope that will continue for many, many more years. Or is it all consuming?
I mean, I think we both want to like continue doing Skating Polly forever. But I mean, there are things that we would like to accomplish outside of it for sure.
Like a garden. We want a really good garden.
Yeah.
I want to house train my dog really well. No, I mean, yeah, I do have goals. I also dabble in like acting. Peyton's like wants to be a PI kind of.
Oh wow.
Kind of, not really. That was a short-lived thing.
Okay. I didn't know.
How did you practice for that?
Well, I work at my mom's law firm at home, and one night they're like, "You want to go out on a stakeout with the PI we were hiring, and just like help him out?" I'm like, "Yes."
Disclaimer: we are huge Veronica Mars fans. We have seen that whole series like 10 times.
So
anyway.
After that, and then my mom and her dad were like, "Yeah, if you got your PI license, like we could like potentially pay you a lot more." Like, because the dude that was the real PI, he was like charging like $500 an hour.
Whoa.
And like obviously I wouldn't do that, but like a lot more. I was like, okay, I'm gonna work on it, but it's just like it would be cool. I would feel like a badass.
Yeah.
But they're just like other more important
What
things.
about photography for you? You're so good at
it. Something I really, really want to do. I want to somehow like get into something like some sort of nonprofit, like the ACLU maybe, or just something like that. I would love to work with them and just do everything I can to help as many people as I can.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting thing about being a musician with a platform, especially online. Are you conscious of that, and do you do things to use that platform to help other people?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean,
do you think that's a responsibility of songwriters these days, considering we have these audiences?
I think if they want it to be, it is, but I don't think it has to be.
Yeah. Do you mean like in a political way, or do you just mean...
any way, really?
I think, I don't know, I go back and forth on this. Like, I don't think it should be any artist, even a really liberal artist, sometimes I feel like this, and then sometimes I feel so wildly different. But I kind of feel like it shouldn't be, especially because we're women. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it shouldn't be on us to constantly have to make feminist stands, or like all of our songs have to be like a feminist message. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we should be able to write a song that's like about hating another girl's fucking guts. Like,
Of course.
because that's just human. And if guys can write a song about like partying and fucking, like why, you know, like why can't we? That's how I feel like partially. And I like also just like, I don't think like minorities or people who are like the victim of like misogyny and stuff should always have to be the like voice of that. But I like to. I do.
Yeah. I think really when it comes down to it, it's just everyone's responsibility to just be a good, nice person. And you don't have, it's not your responsibility to take like for instance, to just make sure everyone's happy all the time. Like at shows, like we get a bunch of like fans and they're really like pushy, like we want a photo. Like I'll be like, my arms are loaded with stuff as I'm loading, like, can you sign this for me? I'm like, no.
Peyton, can you sign this? But Peyton, can you sign this?
And I'm just like, and that's not my responsibility to make them like happy and not like hurt their feelings, but it is my responsibility and everyone's just to not be a dick.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's the other line, is like social media has really blurred this line of fans want immediate feedback for being a fan.
Yeah.
I think that's completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And when they come to your shows, and maybe it's because we've made ourselves too accessible. Like honestly, and I've met some really great fans and I've had really great connections with fans. So like, I say this from a place of also just having this relationship abused constantly. Like they think that because you've taken a photo with them once, that they can just come put their arm around you, put their head on your shoulder and take a photo without asking.
Yeah.
Or just take a photo of you while you're talking to someone else.
Yeah.
And like stuff like that's just not cool. Or grab you and say, Kelli, or I don't know, or call you in a comment, say something really sexual and weird about you, and then when someone calls them out, say, oh no, I'm like their fun uncle, don't worry about it. Like,
I think
you're not my family at all. You've seen me play twice.
it's also their responsibility to not be gross, and once they're like that, then I have no more responsibility to like make sure that they're content.
Yeah, I think women have to, me and Peyton have been listening to Crime Junkie so much, as this great podcast, and one of the things that they always say that I try to keep in mind, and also my therapist said, is like, you can't be scared of being rude. Like, be appreciative, be respectful, be polite. But like, if you feel unsafe, it's better to err on the side of rude.
Yeah.
And even if you make an ass of yourself, and even if you lose a fan for it, and even if you completely misread the situation, like, it's better to be safe.
Yeah.
And there are situations that we have been in that have been unsafe. And luckily we usually have like people with our backs, like around us. But sometimes the people who I think have our back are being really manipulative and creepy and abusing that power. So yeah.
It's a really unregulated thing to do, playing music, isn't it? Because we turn up at venues and there aren't rules. It's not like going to a workplace where there's things that can't be done. It can be really confusing. I mean, we played a show in Cardiff last night. I decided not to go and do merch afterwards because there was nowhere to stand behind, and it was like a corridor kind of going out. I just thought, for the sake of earning 10 quid, I'm just going to not bother because I don't want someone's sweaty hand on me, basically.
We did the same thing, and it was like, all I got was sweaty hands. Like, we sold a couple of things, and I did meet some appreciative fans.
Yeah.
But like, instantly, I think because we did like the hallway, like, hey, we're just selling merch real quick, like, yeah, people were not very... People were drunk too, but like they weren't being respectful of space. And like, you can be happy and excited and like, I'm really enthusiastic and friendly until you cross a line with me.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna call you out about it, like.
Yeah.
And I might teasingly call you out about it first. Like, you're kind of being a dick right now. We can laugh this off if you stop.
Yeah.
But then if you keep doing it, I will not smile for your fucking photo.
Yeah.
I am going to keep flipping off the camera. Or I'm going to say, nope, no more photos. Gotta go.
Well, no amount of fan enthusiasm means it's okay to grab someone by the waist.
Ugh.
It turns my stomach
I get
when
queasy.
people do that.
I get the
Yeah.
heebie-jeebies.
It's horrible, isn't it? Yeah, I know what you mean about that kind of feeling that we need to be there to make, you say, to make them content and like have a good time.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we're not waitresses in a restaurant that have to take whatever is given to us. Either it's a choice to go out and stand and meet people after shows. I love doing it, but it's my choice. It's not part of the ticket price.
No, it's not. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the photo isn't part of the ticket price, and the grabbing of the waist is definitely not part of the ticket price. So
Yeah.
It could
and
be.
like
we should charge a little more, I think.
No. You can the different level of tickets.
I try to make sure we make the time to
That's
like
a dark
sign.
road, Peyton.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I didn't mean it.
I try to make the time to like sign people's stuff and like quickly meet everybody and stuff. But yeah, like, you know, people will monopolize your time. Like people will kind of take advantage of that, and that's always a shame.
Yeah.
And then people are like, you gave me a really dirty look, and I was just like, and blah, blah, you know, and then they leave some crappy comment about it. I'm just like, okay, sorry, dude. If you're that offended that I thought you were creepy and now you don't like my band anymore, guess you didn't like my band that much in the first place.
My favorite comments are like we did something and they didn't like it, so now they just can't support us anymore. I'm like, that's probably for the best, actually.
Yeah, I think so. Do you feel like you know your audience? Do you feel like there's a particular kind of character of person who would like Skating Polly?
There's
We have a huge variety.
Yes, it's
That's
such a
good.
variety.
My favorite type of audience is one that's like full of young people and women and just like people having a good time.
The Kate Nash fans are some of my favorite. There's a few big things we've done in like the course of Skating Polly, right? That like are where our fan bases come from. And I would say it's like the Babes in Toyland tour, the Kate Nash tour, the X tour. I would say like those make up the majority of
It's a
it.
great mix as well.
And it is. It's really diverse and it's really cool. And it's funny too, because like I think they all have their preference of like which side of us they like more. But you know, like they know we're Skating Polly and they know we're gonna do it all. Like, and that just comes with the package. Like we could be really poppy or we could be really screamy. Like
Sometimes in the same song. That's what I love.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, and Deerhoof too.
Oh,
and that's one that I love because that's like that means so much to me when people, because their music is so weird and outside the box, and it's these really catchy, like power rock songs that just make all the most unconventional choices. And I really identify with that. And I've learned so much from touring with Deerhoof that, like, I don't know, it's kind of funny. I like to ask, well, how do you know our music? And you can kind of always tell like what kind of like fan they are based on that. We have a lot of fans who have told me that like, you know, our music's gotten them through really rough stuff and emotional stuff. And we have fans that have told us that it's made them like start their own creative project, like not even just music, but like art and podcasts, or like put themselves out there. And like, that's so cool. Yeah. That's the biggest thing you could ever hope for. Yeah. Someone told me last night that their mom got them a fake ID to come to our London show. Or
that's
the other
so
night.
Cool.
Yeah, they were like, I got a fake ID just to come to this show.
That's such a cool mom.
That's such a cool mom.
Those beautiful tippy-tappy tones mean that this is the part of the podcast where I just stop for a moment to say a massive thank you to the Correspondence Club for powering everything I'm doing in 2020. Thank you so much. I decided to set up my own handmade membership site this year to offer free and paid tiers to people who want to join me on my creative adventures. And it's been so much fun getting to know everyone better over the past 3 months. Subscribers get music, secret podcast episodes and podcast extras, quarterly zines, membership to my friendly forum, and access to my monthly Penfriend TV streamed shows. The next one is this Friday, and it only costs £2 to attend. Plus you get a bunch of other member perks. Head to penfriend.rocks/join to browse all the options. Thanks. Now, back to my conversation with Kelli and Peyton. if anyone was to look at your social media feeds, I think they might get the impression, like I did, that you're just touring all the time, which may or may not be true. But I was wondering, how do you balance that with other parts of your life? How do you stay sane and healthy on tour, or do you? Do you have, and obviously you're such a good unit together. How does that all work?
We're getting better at, the sane and healthy part on tour. I mean, sane at least.
Like we say with colds, we both
it's like a process to like learn how to like make sure that you're getting the stuff you need on tour. Something that we've just kind of started realizing is you need space. Sometimes you need your alone time. And it's like, even if it's just like putting your earbuds in the van and listening to music for a bit, or writing in your journal and just tuning everything out, or going on a walk. You just need to be away from everything for a little bit.
Yeah.
I started doing therapy. Not because of touring and stuff, but this is such an important thing to me. And we are literally all three around each other so much. And people ask, what's it like to be a sibling in a band? And I make jokes about it all the time because, like, that's way easier than, like, explaining the fullness of it. It can be challenging, of course, because we live together and we're best friends. We totally know all of each other's buttons. Like, really small, stupid things like Taco Bell arguments can seem like the end of the fucking world. So it's something that I really appreciate, and I don't want to lose. And I realized, like, man, instead of thinking like, oh, I wish like everyone would just do this and we could just operate like this, like I need to like look at how I'm acting. And so I like since I've like started going to therapy, I've really started like rating myself on tour, like how well I've been dealing with disaster, how well I've been dealing with bad shows. And not only have I just been like much happier, but everyone has. We've been getting along so much better. We like make time to do fun things. I'm not like such a nervous wreck. That was another thing. I used to think that in order to take something seriously or give a shit, you had to like torture yourself with being stressed about it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is gonna go fucking terribly. I can't enjoy it. No, I can't talk to anyone right now. I can come say hi for a second, but I'm back to the green room and God, I should probably go drink more water. And I still get nervous, but you don't have to. You don't have to punish yourself to prove that you give a shit. Like, no, just give it your best and just breathe when we're not on the road, skating poly is very all-encompassing. I would say even my acting stuff, I kind of look at it like, man, if I ever get in a role, like people are like, hopefully will look me up and like find our music, because that's, like acting is so personal in one way, but then your music is like you're telling stories. So it's even like, it's just different. And so that almost feels like an extension of my music. And the more I connect acting to my music, the more it makes sense to me. It's very all-encompassing. Like when we're home, we're usually like writing songs or going off on some trip to make a music video or designing merch or recording an album.
Working on posters.
Flying somewhere,
So you're talking about having space on tour. Do you ever talk about that amongst you, about having space when you're home? So like, maybe don't bother me about the band today. I'm having some time off. Or do you do that?
Oh, I mean, well, like, we can like get away from each other, like go to our bedroom.
In a nice way.
That's actually one of the things that's hard being siblings, is because we have 24-hour access to each other.
Yeah.
And it's like being in a band with your siblings, like everyone asks, it's like being in a band, except you're with them all the time instead of just band time.
Yes. I think people already feel like that's such a... I think every musician probably, who's doing it, like full-time or whatever, like feels like that is a 24-hour profession. Even if they have another job, it's a 24-hour profession.
Yeah,
like,
it's always in your mind.
You can't even sleep without like sometimes just like trying to like decode a song you started working on earlier. And like having your bandmates right next door, like not even next door, but like, the door down the hall.
Well, I can imagine dinner time sometimes would just be a constant Skating Poly band meeting.
Oh, totally.
No, we don't.
Really?
Not that would be bad.
Well, if your dad's around, that's all he wants to talk about.
Our parents love to be caught up on Skating Poly news.
But we love to make dinner together, and that's dinner time.
Okay, that's good. How important has the internet been to Skating Poly's success?
For music videos, it's been really, really good.
Nearly about most I would say more than half the people that we ask, like, how did you find our music? It was like
A music video.
YouTube. Like it was suggested on YouTube.
Yeah. I think that has kind of been our secret weapon. Like, it's another way that, like, I think acting really ties in with the music and stuff. Like, I always wanted to do music videos. Music videos were, like, such a cool part of my childhood. Like, I was such a music video junkie as a child, like, just watching them all day with Curtis. So we make a bunch. We have over 30 right now. And we're constantly making them. And then whenever we just finish one and, like, spend all of our money on it, and, like, the second we get more money, it's like, oh, we should make another music video, spend all of our money again.
But it's working for you though, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Some people think it's silly. Like, we had this one guy who we no longer work with who was, like, totally judging us for that. Like, your music videos don't even make any sense. I'm like, that's enough now. You can slow down. And I was just like,
I didn't know music videos
cool,
had to
bro.
make sense.
Yeah, cool.
I didn't know someone said that to you.
I mean, most of our videos have been very low budget and DIY. And even the ones that are on a slightly bigger budget are still very low budget compared to music video budgets. Like, the biggest budget we had, I was like, yay, we finally have $2,500.
Yeah, totally.
That was the biggest budget.
I think mine's
And, like,
1,500. So,
yeah, and I was like, we have this much money. And then, like, it was for Playhouse. And, like, Scott
well,
was
that
like,
looks amazing.
ooh, can we get a little bit more?
Yeah.
And I was like, and I understood because we're using, like, an actual studio and an actual crew. We're not just, like, you know, like, breaking into a junkyard and filming a bunch of stuff. Or for the album The Big Fit, like, so many of the music videos are kind of, like, shot in our house in around Tacoma. And I love that. I love that they're kind of connected in this way.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to work out the other day if it's easier and quicker to spend money filling up a petrol tank or doing a music video. I think it's about the same. They're the two things that cost the most.
Yeah.
And one's more fun than the other one.
Yeah.
At least you've got a music
Filling a
video.
petrol tank.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I think it's worth it. I don't know. I mean, I think it's, like, part of the art. Like, it's like putting out albums for us.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it is essential. And even if you're not getting direct money out of it, that's how you're reaching people and, like, connecting with people. So it's completely worth it. Other aspects of social media, the internet, I do not feel good at. I have I never felt good at it. I felt awkward. Like, Kurt, I think, can be really funny and clever on social media stuff. I'm like, yes, go for it. And, like, it helps when we get good photographers and stuff. But it's so easy. And everyone I know and I talk to about this feels the same way. Like, even my friends who I think are just brilliant on social media and make me insecure about my own social media are really insecure, and it consumes all their time, and they think about it too much, and they compare themselves to others, and you have this direct fucking number telling you, like, how good you are at this thing you just did, how good that photo is, how well your writing was for these 3 sentences on that post, you know, like, I don't know. I hate it. It drives me crazy. I always feel like, oh, but we're not doing this like a real band. We're just, like, pretending to be a real band. That's how I always feel.
Well, that's so interesting to hear. I've been reading a lot about social media this year because it's something I've been involved in for a really long time. I've been on Twitter since 2007, daily, you know. There's a book called Digital Minimalism, which I've been reading, which is really good because it's kind of saying, it explains about how all of these companies hire attention engineers, and the idea is to make all your phones just super, super addictive. So every single service, it's designed. So notification numbers and the little alarm thing on Facebook and stuff, it's designed to make you constantly want to check it.
Yeah.
So that made me really want to take a step back because there's someone manipulating me to do that. And of course, it's super powerful for us as artists to use that stuff because I didn't tweet for like 6 weeks or something, and I didn't sell anything from my online shop.
Yeah.
So, and then I started tweeting again, and then I did. And so there's a direct relationship, and it's not wasting time using it as an artist at all.
Yeah.
But there has to be a balance, I think. And I think it's good that people are talking about it amongst themselves and admitting that they sort of hate aspects of it, of course.
And, like, finding their own boundaries. Like, I have my, like, a freaking... And I'm always hitting, like, remind me in 15 minutes. But I have those, like,
oh, me too.
those little, like, your social media time is up for the day. Set on my
That's
iPhone
good.
so it, like,
No,
turns off.
but you can remind me in 15 minutes, and you just
I'm
do
always
it
hitting
in
remind me.
15-minute
But
increments.
also, one of the things I love about touring over here and touring in general, because right now we have the shittiest cell phone company, T-Mobile. So we never have data, so I can't do that on the road.
Yeah.
So
Good.
I've been, like, way more focused on just, like, like drowning out to like music in the car, which is really nice, or in conversations, or just journaling. And gratitude journaling specifically is so much better than social media. Like, I feel like it's like the same endorphins rush almost, like, because you're logging this great thing you did.
Yeah.
And this great moment you had, only like you don't even have to post a photo of yourself. It's so nice. And no one else ever has to see it or rate it.
Yeah.
Unless you have someone crazy who reads your journals.
Because for me, the posting is not the issue. It's the checking, and then it's the checking again.
Yeah.
And it's the checking again. And I no longer feel like a weak-willed person because I've been reading the stuff. I know there are people who are making me do that almost. But of course, we all have personal responsibility. And I know that it's better if I read a book or it's better if I listen to music. So it's just good that, I think it's good that people are thinking about it. But it can be obviously incredibly powerful. And if you think about it in terms of marketing, it's great to have that in our control in some ways. Yeah. But then outside of controlled marketing as such, stuff that you are able to do, how are you finding press stuff? So I wanted to ask about what the most common misconceptions or annoying things that people write about Skating Polly, the worst interview questions, and have I asked any of them today?
No.
Good.
I think like I don't like being thought of as like a grunge revival band or
Right.
I don't think anyone thinks we're a grunge revival band, but people do think of us as like this, like people do say that in YouTube comments, which I shouldn't read YouTube comments, but they say like Skating Polly's bringing grunge back, and I'm like, no, grunge is dead, yo, like we're doing something else.
Yeah, you're doing your own thing.
Same with like Riot Girl, like I don't want it to seem like we are a nostalgia act trying to impersonate a different decade, because we're also inspired by so many different decades besides just the 90s.
Yeah.
So many. And so much music from right now. Like, I feel like if I was going to run my own radio station, like one of my friends asked me, like, this is actually a cool question. It wasn't even an interview. We were just like having this conversation. She was like, if you could like curate your own radio station, like what do you think your theme would be?
Ooh.
And I was like, I think I would just do like indie music from like 2000 to like now. Like, I think I'd like that. Like, just kind of like indie to ugly pop, like can be kind of punk, can be a little bit loud, but just like a little weird, like pretty, stuff like that. Like, that's actually what I listen to the most. Babes in Toyland, like, have like an arrow through my heart. Like, there is something about them and the Breeders that like, I think just makes them both like the best bands in the world, in my personal opinion, like the way their music hits me. But then I feel sometimes like that about Joni Mitchell and St. Vincent and Fiona Apple. So my brain breaks apart into all these different pieces. Like, we really do touch on so many different genres and decades that I hate to be put in a box, which everyone does.
Is there anything else? Is there anything else that gets written about that just, when you read it, you roll your eyes and go, couldn't you have focused on something else?
When they focus on our ages, which hasn't happened as much now, but it still happens.
Yeah,
I do get that is part of the story, like how our songwriting came to be, because we started writing these really whimsical like stories from a very young age over 2-note songs. I do get that, and that's how this whole minimalistic approach to our music came about. And like, I don't know, it definitely has directly impacted our sound. Obviously, it's our story, but it's like kind of annoying because at this point, 19, 22, 24, that's pretty normal ages to be in a fucking band.
Yeah.
I mean,
and also 5 albums in, isn't there more to talk about?
I know, like, why can't we talk about all the work we've done?
Exactly.
Like, that's way more exciting.
Yeah.
I think. And no one ever asks us about our lyrics, I feel like. And maybe that's because, like, it is all on our website. And I try to put it all on the YouTube comments for our YouTube videos, because I realize that's where most of the people are, like, discovering our music. Yeah. But, like, I want people to read into the lyrics and ask me about the lyrics. And I get so excited when they do, even if it's the craziest misconception. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, cool. Like, it is about more than just, like, there's a girl screaming. Sick.
Yeah, of course. I think also, but there's such a power, and such a power that comes out of all three of you, especially when you play live, that I think sometimes people will, I don't know, maybe that just obliterates everything else for them. I don't know. I think it's all about intention. So if someone's, I mean, I roll my eyes at several things in things that describe me. I hate being called a singer-songwriter. I fucking hate that. I don't know why. There's nothing wrong with it. I really hate it.
Songstress.
Songstress, yeah. But that just kind of ruins the whole rest of it for me. But I understand that the intention of it is more important. So if they're saying, we love this thing, but they've kind of used some of the wrong words, I just have to like let it go.
Yeah.
It's going to seem cheesy now if I ask you about lyrics because it's like I forgot. But I promise you in this scrawl of planning here that you chose not to read because it was like a doctor's writing, there was stuff about the different kinds of songs that you write. So, for instance, like there's story songs. There might be a song that's all about a mood, that kind of stuff. The music I write, there's 3 different kinds of sorts of songs I write, sort of.
I feel like you already broke it down into the same kind of ways my brain works.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So how do you think about it?
I will definitely I have a like falls out of my mouth, falls out of my head, only I can see it story kind of songwriting that I do.
Yeah.
But that was mostly on our earlier records. I don't do that as much anymore, unless it's a metaphor. I only do that for metaphors now. And then I have like a mood.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I can just feel this thing, and sometimes that comes out in like the voice of a character, or sometimes that comes out like I'm feeling oppressed because so-and-so did this thing, and then I start thinking, and then one time so-and-so did this thing, and then one time so-and-so did this thing, and this happened to my friend a long time ago, and I kind of just like all the energy from that mood comes into this one thing, or like all the love from any crush I've ever had comes into this one song. And also like it's kind of bad because like I've written 2 love songs that I really like. I'm really proud of. And A Little Late's kind of a love song in a way. But like Protective Boy and Flower on Strings. And every time I fall in love, I just feel like the person I love is like, oh shit, I wrote this about them. This was meant for them. This is your song, baby. And then I have like just really personal kind of direct stories where I try to get my point across. And I don't like to be too straight with my lyrics. Like I do like symbolism still, but you know, I think it's more clear what the actual message of the song is, and I have those 2.
Yeah. How about you, Peyton?
Most of my songs, like recently at least, have just been pretty, I feel like just pretty straightforward with how I'm feeling. They're very like specific to a person or situation or feeling that I've had. I don't really write in stories like Kelli does. But then Kelli comes along and like we work on my lyrics together and they turn more into stories than like how they originally were. But they're still just very much just specific to like just very straightforward. Yeah. I think
you actually use really interesting imagery. And I don't think you're like always like, I don't know, aware of how brilliant it is and how many levels it works on. Peyton, like, I don't know, like it blows me away sometimes. And when we like all got together and we finished Don't Leave Me Gravity, Long Ride, and Free Will at Ease, like all the ones on the last record that you sing, those were my favorite songs, my favorite lyrics. Like, because to me, I mean, to you, they had a personal story. But to me, they also like told this personal story. Even though it was like your song and like your memory. And I don't know, I'm assuming Kurt felt the same way.
Yeah.
Like it was really cool.
I love your band.
Thank you. We love your band.
Well, thank you very much. Right, we're coming to the end of our time because we've got to do a sound check in a minute. But I want to talk to you about...
Dogs.
That will happen in a minute. Oh. So, if you could say one thing you're most proud of creating so far in your lives, it doesn't have to be Skate and Polly, but maybe it is. What's the thing you're most proud of creating so far?
Our last record.
Yeah.
Our last record.
Okay.
For real.
Yeah.
We've had some shows that were like, yeah, like greatest shows of my life type of situations. Like our first show with Babes in Toyland, our first show with Kate Nash. I don't know. I mean, we've had things like that, which kind of feel like creating because, like, you know, a live show is like you're doing like a different version of each song. My pilot that I got to do, one of the proudest things, ever. Our music video for A Little Late and our music video for Little Girl Blue, 2 of my favorite things we've ever done. And I love the album artwork we've been doing. I mean, the album artwork for Big Fit, I love all of it. We always have a big hand in it, of course. But like Big Fit, we got to collaborate with this artist, Kat Khan from Greece. And like it was all themed about like body image and stuff. And like, I don't know, I drew the like hanger body mannequin thing. And And I wrote this like poem on the inside, and I don't think anyone ever even looks at that poem. But I'm really proud
bet
of
they
how I'm
do.
making that record.
They do. Well, they will now.
Cool.
What are the top 3 Skating Polly songs that people could listen to if they've never heard you before?
You give 3 and I'll
Okay,
give
let
3,
me think.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
I would say Little Girl Blue and the Battle Envy. I would say They're Cheap. And I would say Long Ride.
Okay, I'm gonna go older then.
Okay.
Okay.
I chose only this record. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm gonna go
I should have given more diversity.
Alabama Movies, A Little Late, and Blue Obvious.
All right.
Wow.
I'm going to make a playlist with all these songs on. Who else are you listening to at the moment? Who you would recommend?
Claro, the song Bags,
yeah.
over and over again.
That's
We
a
listen
tour
to it
song.
every single day. Frick, what else have I been listening to? Anytime someone asks me this question, I'm
We
like,
already
what is
mentioned
music?
everyone that I am.
What is
La La
music?
La La, Phoebe Ridger's White Reaper.
Starcrawler.
Oh yeah,
I love their new record. I
Starcrawler.
am so happy. Arrow's voice. Oh my god, it gives me chills how good it is.
Well, we were in a band together for almost a week and I heard only brilliant things from your playlist. So I'm going to have to get you to curate one for us. That'd be really cool. All right. Who would you like to hear on this podcast in the future?
I think it'd be really cool if you got Shirley. I think you and Shirley are pretty kindred spirits.
That's amazing.
Kate would also be
Kate
really
would
good
be
on
awesome.
this. I think she'd really love it. Anyone from Babes in Toyland. would
Perfume
kill it.
Genius.
Perfume Genius.
He gives great interviews.
Yeah. I'll work on it.
Liz Fair. Get Liz Fair. Get Liz
Get
Fair.
it.
I've been so obsessed with her new song too. I'm so excited for her new record.
And what is your next adventure? Because you're finishing a tour today.
Next adventure, going home.
Playing our 10th anniversary
10th
show. We're
anniversary
doing all these
show.
old songs at our 10th
And then
anniversary
we
show.
are driving down for a couple shows.
with Starcrawler.
Starcrawler.
And then we're going to write an album again.
Yeah.
Yay. Cool. I'm pleased to hear it. All right. But really what I'm here to talk to you about is dogs.
Dogs are so cute. Your dogs are so cute.
They're amazing.
My
But your
dog-
dogs are amazing. Tell me about your dogs. How did you get your dogs? How much do you love your dogs?
My dog has an Instagram at Patsy, PATSYPOLLY. The Pervert, THEPERVERT. My dog is perverted, but Peyton's dog is way more perverted.
My dog's name is Georgie Butt. Well, her name is Georgie. Her Instagram name is Georgie Butt. Like butt, the body
We
part,
don't
not
care
butt, the
about social
conjunction.
media or being influencers, but we really need our dogs to be influencers.
I want my dog to be Insta famous. I want to take her to all the dog conventions where people come and pay lots of money to meet their dogs.
That's actually my big hope and dream is to have famous dogs. Yeah,
You take your dogs to festivals in the States, don't you?
I took it to Riot Fest and everybody loved her, even though she was the biggest bitch. Pun intended. I mean,
She
she's
meet loads
really
of famous
young.
people as well. I have
She
pictures
she
of
met
her.
Kathleen Hanna and she got to say hi to her and stuff. I met her a long time ago and she's talked to us on Twitter and stuff. But I didn't get to meet her at Riot Fest or say hi or anything. And she met my dog and I was like, well, that's pretty cool though. I can't complain.
I know. The first thing I asked was, it wasn't like, can I have a photo with you? It was, can our dog take a photo with you?
Kathleen Hanna follows me on Twitter and I'm just so blown
Yeah.
away. I've
Yeah.
never spoken to her, but that
No.
just makes me happy sometimes when I know that.
Right?
Remember that.
Yeah, that's how I feel the exact
Our
same.
dogs are the best. I can't even express that enough. I would do anything for our tiny, precious puppies.
Dogs are better than boyfriends.
Yeah.
They're not even comparable.
Dogs are better than bunnies. I used to think bunnies were the shit, but no, dogs are just better. They're
Dogs
the
are
best.
better than bandmates.
It's true.
Ooh.
It's
Me
true.
and Peyton love
I
our
mean,
dogs more than our.
We love each other, but
We love our dogs more than each
Yeah,
other and
yeah.
ourselves. I would
Yeah.
die any day for my dog.
it goes Georgie and Patsy, Kelly and all of our other siblings, and me.
Sorry, parents.
No,
hate you.
no, they're up there too. Family.
Right, we think we're going to be
We're
kicked
at
out
the
in a
end.
minute. So
Sound check.
I'm just going to say thank you so much for doing the podcast. It's so exciting. And I
thank
get
you
to see you
for
play
having
for
us.
the 14th time tonight, which is making me very happy.
Yeah, it's gonna
Thank
be great.
you very much.
Thank you for doing this tour with us.
Thank you for asking me. Aren't they great? I hope you're ready to go on a musical adventure now, because I've made a special page for the deluxe show notes for this episode with links to everything we discussed, as well as just a few of Skating Polly's incredible array of music videos. Visit penfriend.rocks/Skating Polly to find out more. Thank you again for listening today. I really appreciate your time and, of course, your attention. Next week, I'll be sharing my conversation with Welsh-born, New York City living singer, songwriter, producer, DJ and solo artist Bright Light, Bright Light. Until then, stay safe, take care and wear a mask. Lots of love.
Now I see that we're going under, but I know that there's nothing else. So as long as we stand together, take my hand 'cause you're so fucking beautiful.
Oh my gosh, Skating Polly. I love your song so much. Oh, Louder and Out of Space. Peyton, your voice is so beautiful.